And we are live. Hey, everyone, and welcome to fucking episode 58. Holy shit.
Right?
We've been doing this a hot minute, huh?
Yeah. Couple of years now. 4 years?
Has it been that long?
I think so. Actually, I've got our YouTube channel pulled up right now. And I just cross-posted our link over to Around Grandfather Fire. So,
Hey,
yeah,
Jason.
4 years ago. Our first episode was on, oh, gods. East. Doesn't give me a very good date. Oh, God, we look so washed out in that one. We've definitely gotten a little bit better about our cameras.
Hang on, let me see if I can find it.
August 25th of 2020.
So, yeah, over 4 years now. Jesus.
Yeah.
That's wild. Anyway, let's jump into the prayer real quick.
Yeah, go for it, please.
Remember the 5th of November. Are gods of chaos and plot. Loki and his sons and daughters, breakers of chains, gods of the flame. The holy bringers of rot. Let them always remember. The teeth in the dark and the fires in the streets. For we are the many, and we will not be forgot. Thank you, holy ones. I warm you and keep you. I keep us all.
Thank you. It occurs to me as we're sitting here on this election day to hail to our ancestors who got us the vote, who agitated for change, who fought at the ballot box and in the streets for the rights we have and for the rights we still have yet to retain. Hail.
Hail. For those wondering, which is probably no one, but I'm going to explain it anyway. Today for me is the Day of Holy Chaos, which I celebrate every November 5th. I'll grant you the inspiration is very pop culture because it came from V for Vendetta, which the inspiration for that came from Guy Fawkes Day, which is not actually Guy Fawkes is not actually a person to be celebrated himself.
No, he's kind of a piece of shit.
Yeah, like he was absolutely a piece of shit. He was a religious extremist in the "I want everyone to do what I said" kind of way. So Guy Fawkes himself. Thank you. Sorry, allergies are a thing, and I forgot to take my meds. But and while I'm not celebrating a holiday because based on V for Vendetta, because it's a great movie, but I'm not a person who generally does. I'm not that kind of chaos magician. Let me put it that way.
That's fair.
But the idea behind the movie, right? The idea behind the comic, the idea behind all of that is revolution, its costs, and the fight for freedom.
Right.
And its continued fight. And freedom for the many instead of the few and powerful.
For those who don't have context for the history of V for Vendetta, As far as I can see, this is very. People say, "Oh, this is like a far-flung future thing." No, the thing about a lot of dystopian futurist works is they're commenting on the present.
Yeah.
And Alan Moore was smack in the middle of Thatcherite England. And this was during, if I remember right, at time of publishing, this was during one of the big blow-ups with the Troubles. Pardon the pun, that was not intentional on my part. So the history of the Fingermen wasn't some thing relegated to some distant future. I mean, that's basically how the English government operated, especially with dissident protesters.
Yeah. And it continues to be all the more poignant today in the United States with the current state of things, which this is a break. This is a, hey, let's not talk about the election for an hour and a half.
Right.
But all the same, the Day of Holy Chaos for me. So as I was very first beginning my kind of research into the Wild Hunt and related spirits and traditions and stuff, it was around November, and Loki basically bopped me over the head and was like, hey, you should do this. And every November 5th, I honor him as not the, but one of the leaders of the Wild Hunt. And today is, by my reckoning, and this actually strikes me as a thing that Loki would absolutely do, being kind of the changeable god that he is. Today is a holy day for me, for him, and in his role as leader of the Wild Hunt, breaker of chains, bringer of change. Him and his children, especially Fenris, over the years I've gotten an increasing... Fenris and I are not close. He's not part of my regular worship, but I definitely get a vibe of him as part of that process.
I am not shocked.
Yeah. That's not a super... That's not a hot take. That is an ice cold take. But it's still, all the same. And that's where it comes from. So every November 5th, I have a fire and make offerings for Loki and the Wild Hunt. Say some prayers. Sometimes I do some other work, but at bare minimum, I do that. And I usually watch V for Vendetta, which I had been doing for years before that. So
excellent.
No. Anyway, how are you?
I'm good overall. I've been a little busy today, between the voting and just family life. So as soon as our little one got home, we went basically right outside and stayed out there for a couple of hours.
Very nice.
Which was very good. Yeah. I mean, 70 degrees in the middle of what should be a cold fall. So we're going to just take advantage of it. And I snapped a bunch of twigs to make kindling for a sacred fire, maybe tomorrow, maybe tonight. I don't know.
Yeah.
No, not tonight. It's going to be raining.
Oh, yeah. Luckily, I have many options for fires inside, and intentionally have built it that way.
Oh, yeah, this is a good point. Thank you for reminding me. Michigan is the fun voting sticker state, so we got an assortment between us.
That's very nice.
Yeah.
I did
that famous werewolf sticker from the Jon Stewart blew up. Thanks, dude.
Yeah.
Managed to get one, so
that's very cool.
It doesn't take much.
I did absentee voting for the first time.
Oh, neat.
I actually dropped my ballot off at the box yesterday and had to call this morning because it still hadn't registered. This morning around like 11 o'clock that it had gotten picked up, and I was like, shit, do I need to go fix something? No, it was fine. It's just there's a lot of votes, so they were taking their time. They just hadn't gotten to it yet. So I called the clerk and they were like, no, it's fine. You're good. I was like, cool. And then like an hour and a half later, I got the email because you can actually... Excuse me. Sorry. In Michigan, with absentee voting, you can sign up for email notifications where when your ballot is sent out and when it's received to be tabulated, you can get emails that say, hey, here's what's going on, which is really quite nice. Michigan is, quite frankly, from what I've seen, leading the nation in like, no, let's make voting as easy as possible.
Yeah. Our polling place was very smooth despite being packed to the gills.
Very good.
Like we got there pretty early in the morning and it was like retirees and people with children and not much in between, occasional 18-year-olds. I took my son to vote for the first time today. That was really cool.
Hey, congrats. Good on
Yeah.
him.
Yeah, they were applauding all the people who were voting for the first time. There was a bunch of kids my son's age there, so it was really neat to see that
Oh, yeah.
they were actually physically turning out.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's something about putting it into the tabulator that there's something about putting your vote in the tabulator that just it's a physically satisfying thing. Because I've voted absentee before, and it's not as satisfying as going slide. You voted, thanks. Little American flag waving back at you. It's, it's the small things in life. I am a very simple creature in my pleasures.
No, it's cool.
And as far as like my election night relaxation, my whole thing with this is there is 0 point in wigging about the election results until like a week from now, because nothing's going to be tabulated for days.
Yeah.
So like if you came on the stream thinking, oh man, we're going to talk about stress, nah.
No. The point is to take a break. Look, the polls just closed in most of the East Coast like 2 hours ago at most.
It's not like when I was younger. There's no point in watching the poll numbers go up or down.
Yeah, no.
They're not going to be tabulated for days.
Yeah. It could be some point tomorrow when things are finally tabulated, but like when we like have somebody's passed the line, but it ain't going to be tonight. Now, am I going to stay up and watch for quite some time? Yeah. I'm at obviously a new filming location because I'm at a friend's house. We're having a viewing party. We're going to intersperse it whenever we get too stressed with terrible anime and probably V for Vendetta. So, whatever, it's fine.
Excellent.
But yeah, we're not. If you don't want to do that, don't do that. Come hang out.
Seriously. Yeah.
Have a drink. Speaking of, what are you drinking?
Oh, a shitload of stuff. So I've got Rhythm and Blues St. Ambrose Draft Mead, which is black currants and blueberries, and it's really fucking good.
St. Ambrose generally is.
Yeah. So that's in my horn.
Nice.
And I've got Rasputin, which is their raspberry mead, which is also excellent.
It's very good. That's part of their sour series. It's very good. If I remember right, it's part of their sour series.
I don't know. I just drank the shit. It's good.
No, it'll say on the bottle, but don't worry about it.
I'm also got a couple of shots lined up with Kraken. How are you? Maker's Mark, and that's some of that honey old fashioned Detroit from last time.
Nice.
I've also got some Reka, which I might use as a mixer because I have 0 sugar cherry pomegranate.
Oh, fun.
So, and I've also got Christian Regal, which is a Swedish imported apple cider.
Nice.
Yeah. So, Sarenth has some options tonight.
I'm shocked. You never have more than one thing to drink. This is totally an aberration from your pattern of doing a dozen different things.
And then behind me is, of course, my pupper, because he wanted to come down and say hi.
Yeah.
You baby. Don't leave me upstairs, Dad. So, I did not.
Very nice. Oh, nice. Here we go.
Oh, yeah, tons of...
It is part of their sour series. I have the Rasputin bottle up here. Very nice. I thought so. It's really quite good. I've had it before. I slightly prefer their Black Madonna. I forget what's in it, but it's also part of the sour series. I believe either black cherries or black currants. I don't remember, but it's phenomenal. I was super impressed.
Looking.
Yep.
This is what it was for. Blackberry and honey.
Oh, okay. Blackberry.
Yep. It is part of the sour series. Ooh, it looks really pretty too.
It is. It is very pretty.
They really do have a good graphic designer. Like, seriously, kudos to whoever does your bottles.
Yeah, no, it's really fantastic. I need to visit their meadery at some point. They're in Michigan.
Likewise, too. Yeah, I've actually, I think I've been.
Have you?
Was it them or was it the other one? The one in Ferndale.
That's Bee Nectar.
That's Bee Nectar. That was really cool too.
Yeah, no, their tap room is really fantastic.
Yeah,
It's small and it's kind of out of the way. Like I never would have guessed that was bee nectar, but like it's really fun.
Given how popular they are, I was really shocked. But
Yeah.
like their flights are to die for.
Oh yeah.
The other one that I really want to like shout out for bottle design, like I love the Detroit bottled cocktail. Like, just I mean,
I almost picked that up at the store today. Actually,
it's so good. I am a huge whore for this. Like, it's just tasty.
Nice. I am drinking a painkiller, which is a really fun tiki cocktail.
Please remind me what's in a painkiller because I am the uncultured heathen here.
Yeah. So it is 1 part coconut cream, 1 part orange juice, 4 parts pineapple juice, and then 2 to 4 parts rum.
Ooh.
Now, technically, Pusser's Rum owns in the U.S. owns the name and copyright recipe for the painkiller. So technically speaking, if you're making a painkiller, it is with Pusser's Rum. TM.
Nice.
So what I had is not a painkiller because I did use Pussers. I used 2.5 ounces of Pussers. Sorry, 3 ounces of Pussers. And then I used 3 ounces of Dr. Bird rum because I really like the funk in that. Also, I made it with 6 ounces of rum instead of 4 ounces because
it's fuck it, we're gonna relax. God damn it!
Huh?
I said, "Fuck it, we're gonna relax." God damn it!
Exactly. It's a painkiller, and so the apocryphal story is that you ordered like a 1 to a 3, depending on how much pain you were in, how much rum, and then like a 1 was only 2 shots, and then 2, and then 3 was And I'm gonna fucking relax, damn it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
That's, I mean, hence the mini flight I've set up for myself. I understand.
Yeah.
I've also got 4 roses and ironfish, 4 cask waiting for me if we get that far.
Nice. I did also add, because I'm a sucker for it, I added some Angostura bitters to mine, which is not generally part of the recipe. And then also,
we're going to be a fancy bitch. Color me shocked.
Yeah, right. Who'd have thought? And then my partner, as an early birthday present, got me from Bennett's Bitters, who are phenomenal, and I recommend them very highly. Got me a set of their new tiki bitters, and I put a bunch of that in there too, and it is phenomenal. I cannot recommend that highly enough.
All right. So since you didn't see the sign language, or maybe you did, I signed out WTF asking what the fuck tiki bitters are, because I'm thinking tiki torch, and that's not this kind of election.
Okay, so tiki is a style of cocktail/cocktail bar. That's a lot of people think of it as Caribbean, and it's not. It's actually Polynesian. But it's white settler colonialism Polynesia.
Oh,
yeah, it's so there's a lot of really bad history, but the cocktail style is very fun. That doesn't excuse it. It just kind of is what it is. But so tiki involves usually rum and then a lot of fruit juices. Nobody cares, computer. My computer's reminding me that I haven't turned on a VPN. Yeah, I know.
Oh no. Don't worry. It's water.
Often involves lime juice, other fresh fruit juices, coconut, rum. I'm not sure exactly what makes a tiki drink, but that kind of tropical island type drinks.
Gotcha.
Often with a pretty significant amount of spices, cinnamon, allspice, cloves, that kind of thing goes into it.
Oh, it's the Colonial Special. Understood.
Yeah, basically. Well, like those spices are pretty common, like natively in Polynesia, right?
Like, right. But I mean, you mentioned earlier, this is definitely a colonialized Polynesia kind of a dealy do.
Yeah. Well, like one of the kind of pioneers of tiki stuff was like Trader Vic was a white guy. Like, the main forerunners of tiki bars and all of that. These are all white dudes. Like,
right.
living in Hawaii and etc. Yeah, they're still white dudes.
Right.
But yeah, so these tiki bitters are really good. Extremely cinnamon, a little bit of like brown sugar sweetness,
Ooh.
and then they're like almost bright red because they're colored with hibiscus. I'm like 99% sure. I didn't actually check.
Does it have that kind of hibiscus tang?
A little. It's hibiscus is one of those flavors that when it lends its color way before it lends its flavor, right?
Which I'm okay with because hibiscus can sock you right in the fucking mouth.
It can. There's a touch of the flavor, which I'm not mad about. I also like hibiscus generally, but
I got to be in a mood for it. I'll be honest with you.
yeah,
But it does sound like a genuinely good bitter to add.
Mm-hmm. It's very fun. I'm super happy with it. And it adds an interesting dynamic to a drink that I make. I make painkillers pretty regularly. They're one of my favorite cocktails. And it adds kind of a new dimension. Although this is not really like a painkiller because at this point it's so rum heavy that like it has stopped being a painkiller at this point. Also, I didn't make it with pussers, so it's technically not a painkiller. Fucking goddamn corporate overlords. Anyway, I'm in a mood.
It's all good.
It's fine.
I am definitely in a mood myself. One of the things that I appreciate about you sharing your practice with November the 5th and your work with the Wild Hunt is there's so many interesting through lines. Like if you read Lakuto, where he goes into Phantom Armies of the Night is the book I'm thinking of, where he goes into some of the folklore of who leads the what. And it's not just the Wild Hunt. Sometimes you have, oh gods. And now, of course, that I'm trying to recall it, I'm going to forget it.
The Furious Army.
The Furious Host, yeah.
Yeah.
The Furious Host, the Host of the Damned, the Benandante, the Theiss and his crew of good werewolves versus the evil werewolves of Satan, which as one of my favorite stories that I've read. And it's one of my favorite little pieces of folklore. It's like, yes, there are good werewolves and there are evil werewolves, and we're fighting Satan for the corn. And corn in this case is not like maize; it's corn, as in
any grain, basically.
Any grain, yeah. Like we're fighting the devil for bread.
It's also really funny because we talked about this with Estrella.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh, yeah, no, it turns out these stories happen on both sides of the fence and both sides call the other evil. And it's just which grain are you growing? And you're fighting the other guy.
Right. Because it's either amaranth or it's wheat or it's barley or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, it's like, oh, yeah, that's fine.
I really dig this kind of shit.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
It really kind of puts to lie the binaries that a lot of folks like to approach with, but it also is like, you want to talk about fucking things up in terms of like looking at your perspective about the revelry and madness and the flipping of things on their head. I mean, you're never going to find a better time.
Yeah. Yep.
Hey, Finn. Good to see you.
Oh, yeah. Hey, Finn. We actually have a lot of people watching right now.
We do, yeah. I think our watch count's up to like 8 or 9. This is pretty good for an election night.
No kidding.
Oh, 7, sorry.
No, you're fine. And I know at least one of those is actually 3 people because they're upstairs.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. As Emily said, too bad for Maleck. We're up here with tasty homemade cheesecake. Might be nice to keep the slice down. Honestly, don't hold off at least for now because I don't want cheesecake and painkiller in my stomach at the same time. That goes super well. Yeah, just the rich cheesecake and then rich painkiller. Just be like,
this was a mistake.
Yeah. Very tasty, but
So one of the things that I really appreciate too about a lot of these stories that we've been telling, that we've been talking about for the last year also, is that it really kind of puts to lie like folklore is this amber trapped mystery. Like you're living it or you're not.
Yeah.
And while there are some certain things like generally speaking, even though I do occasionally run with the wild hunt, I don't recommend people do it. Like, I mean, this is true for a lot of spiritual pursuits I have. Like, I don't recommend people initiate with the runes. I don't recommend people like initiate with the old man in the ways that I have. I don't recommend it because it's dangerous. And that's the thing about the wild hunt is it's fucking dangerous.
Yeah.
Like
And this
they'll
is
eat
then,
you.
Yeah.
Like there's
And-
certain sections of the wild hunt that'll fucking kill you or eat you.
Yeah, and that, frankly, is one of the kinder things that can happen because
Right.
the other half of the stories of oops, it went wrong is, oh, you came back a century later.
Right.
Oops.
And nothing can go wrong. Oh no, it all went wrong. Who the fuck are you?
Yeah, like
Finn, I am actually not telling you what to do. Sarenth will tell me what to do. I'm not. I am just heavily recommending that you really do your folklore research and really think before you fuck with an entity like the wild hunt. This is also the reason why I tell people like Othin in different aspects may not be the god you want to seek out, because if you seek him out and you get Othin as the wild hunt leader, you're going to get a very different Othin from Runetyr or even Yeager. And I don't recommend people look for Yeager either, but you know, each their own.
And this
See,
isn't like
Finn, I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just making heavy recommendations.
Yeah, right? Look, do what you're gonna do. No one here can stop you, but also
I can't stop you, but I'm also not going to stop you from becoming a client either.
Yeah. And this isn't one of those like, ooh, I'm special and I could do it, but you shouldn't.
No.
This was dumb when I did it.
Right. This was not recommended or advised.
Yeah. It's one of those like, I kind of had to do this. That doesn't make it smart. It's actively dangerous.
This is actually, I think, a conundrum of talking about stuff online or just talking about stuff generally is that you can make it sound really neat and cool until.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Sarenth's parents gave us each a gallon Ziploc bag with our name and candy for Halloween, Christmas, and Easter every year. I love and hate it. I've gone through this one as past ritual snacks. That's totally fair. I haven't actually chewed through all of mine yet because they're sugar-free and it will fucking kill me. Or at least it will make me wish I was dead.
I was going to say, well, that just fuck your stomach up royally that much.
If I want to hug the toilet for the next couple of hours, I mean, that's one way to do it.
Yeah.
Because for those who don't know, sugar-free stuff can and will give you the shits if you eat enough of it.
Yep. Lovely.
It's great. Oh, it's sugar-free. How many pieces did I have? It's fine. You tried and had issues. Yeah, I did. R.I.P. No, he was not fine. Nor was anybody else I worked with that evening. Oh.
But yeah, it's interesting stuff. And it's I guess and this should be shocking to no one since, you know, I have either circled or am now actively in medicine as a career. I go back to medical metaphors all the time, right? And when it comes to like initiation stuff, don't get surgery unless you have to. You know, like, are there elective surgeries? Yes, right. And those are still dangerous, right? Like surgery is dangerous.
Your risk going under the knife is never zero.
Yeah, no. It's extremely rare, but people don't wake up from tonsillectomies.
Right.
You know, getting your tonsils out, extraordinarily safe.
But it happens.
It happens. Anytime you have to go under full anesthesia at all, people just don't wake up.
The body said no.
It's incredibly rare. Some people just don't wake up.
Right. And that's not to say, hey, you know, everybody that goes to the wild hunt is immediately damned, doom, etc.
No.
But there's a reason why folklore exists, and we should respect it.
Mm-hmm.
But we
No.
also need to recognize and reckon with the fact that we are living folklore.
Yeah.
Like the part of the problem of reporting on things is that people can look at it like it's something under glass, as opposed to this is a living group of spirits that can and will change in time.
Yeah.
And the way that the hunt, the host, the etc. changes does differ depending on where you are, how you are, who you are, and all the other factors that go into whether or not you do or don't see the hunt.
Yeah. Who's leading it, etc. And it does change quite a lot, right? You get things from like I forget where. I think it was northern France. What is today northern France? There was legends of villages where every night, every woman in the village would, while she slept, go out and ride with Frau Hall in the wild hunt.
Right.
And then in others, you get, the wild hunt is evil, and anyone who even hears their hoofbeats is in immediate danger.
Yeah,
Where's the truth? The truth is both of them.
Right.
Yes.
What I find really neat about a lot of these stories is the element of danger is never gone. And I think that is the part that a lot of modern folks trip up on is they're like, well, how can I do this safely? You can't. You can't.
Yeah.
There are just certain aspects of spiritual practice that are inherently dangerous.
Yep.
And you are either going to like that or lump it.
Yep.
And if you don't want to deal with it, don't deal with it.
Yep.
Wear your iron, be sure to wear some shit inside out at some point, and then get home and don't unlock your door for anybody.
Yeah. And that's
folklore has rules for a fucking reason. Usually it's to keep you safe.
Yeah. And here's what grinds my gears a lot about a lot of modern pagans that I see is people who are like, oh, it's fine, it's safe. Just believe it's safe and it's safe. And I'm like, that ain't how this shit works.
No.
You can believe you're safe. That doesn't change reality.
I learned the rules of the road so that I know how not to smack other cars and drive into oncoming traffic.
Yeah. Or even better. Oh, intention is everything. If you don't mean harm, it'll be fine. Fucking manslaughter is a charge. You can kill people on accident.
Intention is everything. I didn't intend to swerve into traffic. It just kind of happened. Whoops. That whoops don't count, folks.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, this is also a question of, are you taking your cosmology seriously? Have you over intellectualized it? Did you drink the colonialist Kool-Aid and you really haven't got off the bottle yet?
Yeah.
And that's not to say unassailably everything in folklore is 100% true.
No, but there's trends, and you can see the rules if you dig for it. And like you were saying, it's, are you taking this seriously or not? Do you believe in it or don't you? Because if you believe in it and it does have power, then it can hurt you. Power is inherently dangerous. Power is the ability to enact change. If you can enact change, that can be used negatively or positively.
I think after a certain point, belief doesn't even enter into it. It's either it is what it is or it's not.
Yes, I'm saying for the attitude of the people.
Oh, the attitude, sure. Because I'll occasionally get pushback from folks like, well, how can you just put that on everybody? Well, either this is how things work or it's not.
Yeah.
It's not about me putting things on. It's just, this is what happens.
This is what I perceive to be reality. I can be wrong, and that has happened before, but I am perceiving this to be reality and reporting what I see.
Right.
I can be as unbiased as possible and report my biases as much as possible, but this is still the reality that I'm perceiving.
Yeah.
And that makes a difference.
I mean, the thing is, if you kind of pull the lens back to a wider view, to what is the point of trying to hedge?
Yeah.
Like, why are we trying to hedge our bets on whether or not this spiritual phenomena, that spiritual phenomena is real or based in reality? And I think to a certain degree, it's because nobody wants to look like a fool.
Yeah.
But I think the other part of it is that, well, I mean, take the last decade, right? We've seen what happens when people fall for shit hook, line, and sinker, and how it distorts consensus reality.
Yeah.
What I think is the flip side that is often not dialogued with, and this is something that Tyson Yunkaporta talks about quite a bit in Right Story, Wrong Story, or Wrong Story, Right Story. I can't remember which one it is. But anyway, it's a relatively recent book he just released. It's really fucking good. Whether or not the story is right, it still affects reality.
Yes.
Whether or not he made a ritual implement correctly, it is still affecting reality, and he has to either work with the lessons that particular ritual piece has, or somehow destroy or return it to the elements or fix the issue.
Yeah.
And it's not like we've had the yearly thing of Easter is not Ishtar that we always have to go through, or no, the Christians didn't steal all these seasonal celebrations. Actually, that's where syncretism comes in, folks.
Yeah.
Or no, they didn't steal. They thought the Green Man thing was in some iterations started as an advertisement.
Yeah. Like, yeah. And like the whole, oh yeah, or dear gods, there were two gods, the Lord and the Lady. No.
Thank you, Emily.
Right Story, Wrong Story, Adventures in Indigenous Thinking, paperback, October 3rd, 2023. Perfect. Thank you. By Tyson Young Kapoor, author. Thank you. Please look it up. Also, their book, Sand Talk, is on my list that still needs to be read.
It's so fucking good. Like, Tyson's stuff it's really good. And there's a lot of through lines with the sand designs that he works with and the runes that are really fascinating.
I believe it. Yeah. Getting backtracking very slightly. I got into are you taking what you're doing seriously? Because I am a fool, got into an argument with people on Reddit in one of the witchcraft.
Oh God!
I know I'm a fool. I started the story with I am a fool.
My dear Ulfkin.
I know. So somebody jumped on and said, and they posted to like a dozen subreddits all at once, but whatever.
Okay, so a troll is fishing for likes. Understood.
No, they were just wanting to get reinforcement for their.
Oh, okay, one of those. Okay.
Yeah. And they said, I need advice on a sweetening spell. I need to get this man back, and he's super stubborn, and he just won't see what's best for him, and blah 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 blah. Basically, I'm paraphrasing very heavily, but basically, this person that I like romantically does not like me and is stubborn and will not see that I am correct for them. How do I use magic?
How do I subvert their will? Neat.
Yeah. And I jump on, and I'm probably the first commenter, and I'm like, have you considered not using magic to coerce someone into doing something they don't want to do?
Right.
And I
thought no.
And I had multiple people tell me that I was full of shit and that active love spells are not coercive.
The fuck they aren't.
And I was like, one, y'all don't know what this word means. You do not know what the word coercive means. Like, this is definitionally coercive. But also, very clearly, y'all don't believe in what it is you're doing. Like, if you believe that it is not coercive to use magic to try to change someone's mind, the only way that I can wrap my head around that as even mildly logical is that you don't believe this will work. You don't believe that it will change their mind.
Right. Because if it actually can affect them, what you've done is subvert their will.
Yeah, what you've done is magical date rape. Like,
call it what it is. Also, I appreciate that Emily called me out. Sarenth, I don't want to hear your twittering self tweeting. Yeah. Come to bed, honey. I gotta finish this. Somebody on the internet is wrong. Yeah, that has totally been me, so I can't say shit.
Yeah. I
But,
limited
I mean,
myself to 3 comments in that thread before I was like, nope, I'm out. Y'all are
proud
nuts.
of you. That's so hard. But no, that's a very, very good point. Because if you believe that magic can work, it works. Now you can debate with me on the mechanisms.
Yeah.
Please do. But
that's a fun time.
But I mean, whether you take this from a soul approach, a psychological model, whatever. Oh, this is a good one. Hang on. Yeah. If they think the magic will reveal their, quote, true selves, unquote, to their love, and that will result in reciprocation, I could kind of see it, but that isn't how that works.
Exactly. And that's not what this was about. This was explicitly about changing this person's mind on what they wanted. And I'm like, no, that's coercion. You're trying to change their decision.
Damn.
What was that one?
That was I mixed Reka with cherry pomegranate.
Oh, nice.
That shit's amazing.
I believe it.
I'm probably committing blasphemy by making it a mixer, but you know.
Vodka is designed to be a mixer. Like there's no way around that. It's just in the modern day, like it just is. Like,
yeah.
What is it? This is alcohol with as little flavor as possible. Do I happen to like Reka and think that it is a very good vodka? Yes, I do. I actually enjoy drinking small amounts of it straight. But it's still vodka. The point is to have as little flavor as possible.
I'm actually going to see what it tastes like mixed with the cider.
But yeah. Yes.
Oh, that smells really good. This is
that a hard cider or a soft cider?
Sparkling juice beverage from. It's actually it's non-alcoholic. So
okay, cool. We can change that,
right? And we shall.
Yeah.
Hell, I food.
And will magic work every time? Absolutely not.
Oh, hell no. And that's actually kind of some of the fun of evaluating why it did or didn't work.
Yeah. And that's the other thing, and that's the thing that I really genuinely appreciate about chaos magic done right is fucking go back and evaluate. Why didn't it work?
Right.
Was your astrological timing just absolutely the worst?
Did your ancestors say no? Did theirs have better protection?
Are you fighting against a major egregore that does not want you to do this? Are you fighting against land spirits that don't want you to do this? Did you just not have enough fucking juice in that spell? Whatever the case might be, there's all kinds of ways that it can fail. Are you fighting against the spiritual force that is government institutions? Neat. You got a lot of fucking juice you got to fight against. Good luck.
This is like, guys, I really want to go political with this. Let me put that aside.
Yeah, sorry. That's probably a bad example for tonight. I probably should have gone somewhere else with it, but
it's all good. I will table it for the sake of the show. Yeah. We can talk this after party. You want to hear radical shit from Sarenth? Stick around for the after party.
There's all kinds of reasons why magic might fail. Everything from your intention was actually fucked up. You don't actually want the thing that you think you want, and you haven't reckoned with yourself correctly, all the way to the gods said no for a reason why.
It honestly could be something even more silly. Like you're literally fighting with color correspondences.
Yep.
Like if your overculture says red equals love, and you're trying to say red equals, I don't know, hope. Like you're fighting against a cultural zeitgeist. Good luck. Because if your overculture says blue is this, green is this, like green is healing. Yes, that is an old elemental correspondence. That is an old, or not elemental, but color correspondence. Excuse me.
Yeah, green as healing, growth, prosperity is pretty universal. Why? Because plants.
Right.
That's why.
So why is it healing? Because plants.
Yeah. Why is it growth and prosperity?
If you want to make it death, I mean, cool, but you also get to fight with the zeitgeist while you're casting a spell, and sometimes that's just not worth the fucking hassle.
Yeah. And like, is there something to color correspondences? What?
Jesus fucking Christ.
Just give figure if he can't stand near the bathroom if he wants to hear radical shit from Sarenth. Jesus Christ.
And this is why I'm never going to get too big of a head, because my partners will always bring me down.
I mean, very honestly, we all need that from time to time.
I'm fucking crying. Thanks, honey.
And like, is there something to like personal correspondences and stuff? Absolutely.
Right. Oh, absolutely. Sure.
But also, there's got to be some kind of logic to it. And if your correspondence is fighting that hard with the overcultural correspondence, maybe rethink.
Right. Like, well, what does vodka represent, right? Vodka is damn near pure alcohol. So that, to me, is a purifying spirit. I'm not going to splash apple juice on somebody as a purification. For one, it's fucking sticky.
Yeah.
For two, it doesn't have those attributes to me. What it's got is longevity, because I worship Ithune, goddess of apples and orchards and shit. Like,
and from like a scientific standpoint, apple juice is going to attract insects,
right,
and bacteria and all kinds of stuff that you don't want for purification. Vodka, on the other hand,
will sterilize
a disinfectant
stuff. Right,
it's actively a disinfectant. It kills things. It grows yeast real quick too. Yeah.
If you want to increase the effectiveness, piggybacking on widely accepted correspondences is a way to amplify it. This is also true cross-culturally. Because if you're trying to fuck with somebody, or you're trying to help somebody from a different culture, for instance, my friend in Japan, I might not send her anything with white.
Right,
because it's a death color. which is flipped on its head when they do weddings, because Japan likes Western weddings for some fucking reason.
Because American colonialism. But but yeah, and like in India, you don't wear white to a wedding. Why? Because that's the color of death. You wear red. Right. That's the color of passion and love. So I should say, I do not know what guests wear to a wedding in India. I do know that red is often a bridal color in India, at least to my knowledge. I could be incorrect about that. I should not speak on cultures that I'm not a part of and don't know very well. But I do know you don't wear white. The bride does not wear white because it's a color of death.
Right. So, I mean, this goes for people that you're trying to help. This goes for people that you're, because it's not just like a one-way street, right? We're talking about one jackass on a Twitter, on a Reddit thread, who is doing some seriously fucked up shit with magic.
Yep.
Okay, but what if it's somebody that I actually want to help, or somebody that's across the ocean? If I don't work with their color correspondences, it may or may not matter to them, because I'm the one doing the magic and the transference is all wibbly wobbly, timey wimey. But the other question is will it be well received? Are their ancestors okay with it?
Yeah.
Are the ocean spirits willing to let it cross?
Yeah.
There's a whole host of different considerations. Like, have you thought of XYZ? This is also why I think sometimes magic and spirituality done over Zoom can be very direct and very powerful, partly because you're tunneling through the internet right to their particular port of destination.
Yep. Yeah, it's quite literally a direct link.
Right. And it's there's so many bypasses, because generally speaking, if their Zoom is on, it's in their home. So you're bypassing all their shields, their wards, etc.
Yep. You're going directly to them. Quite honestly, quite literally where they live. God, that drink is actually really strong. Oh.
You ain't gonna feel shit.
Yeah, fucking 6 ounces of liquor in that drink. Okay,
I can't say shit. I just knocked back a bunch of shit, so I can't say nothing.
I was gonna say I have a very good tolerance. That drink is strong.
This is also the reminder for anybody watching at home. Please, by all the gods, Drink your fucking water.
Drink your fucking water. I have so much hydration. I literally, as prep for the party tonight, I went to the store in no small part to get hydrating stuff for tonight and tomorrow so that I would be okay. Like, take care of
You're a
yourself.
smart person, yes.
Like, very genuinely. I have been drinking for a long time. Take care of yourselves.
Also, have snacks. Take care of yourselves. Like tonight's night for relaxation.
Yeah.
The hard part that you needed to do is over. Now it's time to chill.
And if you still can and you're not on Eastern time zones, go vote. If you haven't yet, go vote.
Mm-hmm.
If you're watching this, you're probably on Eastern time. But if you aren't for whatever reason, go vote.
Go vote.
If you're in line by the time the polls close, by law you're allowed to vote.
If there are any issues, make them give a provisional ballot to you. Request it with a receipt. Yep.
Go vote.
Go vote, please. So, that aside.
Yep, that aside.
One of the things that I'm gonna switch gears a little bit. Mm-hmm. So, like, we've talked about, like, go vote. Well, how do you relax? Like, there's all this tension in the air. There's all this anxiety, and you've got people on the internet being stupid, and I mean that's the day ending. And why? How do I relax? How do I relax, Maleck? I don't know how to relax. How do I relax?
You're asking the wrong goddamn person. No, you're not.
I know.
I mean, kind of you are, because I never relax, but I do all the time and very intentionally. And I've had to, over the years, teach myself how to relax because I didn't learn growing up.
Right.
Right. I grew up in a household of you don't fucking quit. Never does it stop. Never ends. There is always the next thing. Relaxing wasn't a thing that I learned how to do until I was an adult.
For those of you in the audience who have children or maybe may have children at some point, please do not imbue hustle culture in your kids, because it will turn them into anxious little fuckers.
Yeah.
By the time that they're ready to leave the nest, because holy shit. Ooh, I would love this. Yes, please.
Rage rooms.
Sorry.
Cat Blackwell says rage rooms need to be more common and accessible. I agree, but also, so there's a thing when it comes to rage where it can be a good outlet if it's processed correctly, but if it's not processed correctly, it becomes a self-feeding loop. Those things where you get in your head and you just make yourself angry and more angry and more angry and more angry, and every time you express it, it just gets worse. Self-feeding loop. A rage room could feed that instead of being an outlet for healthy rage, right? Now, I'm not a therapist and I'm not your therapist. Even if I was a therapist, I'm certainly not yours. In my experience,
and to that point, neither one of us are.
Neither one of us are. Sarenth is closer than me, and Sarenth is also not a therapist.
Sarenth is most certainly not a therapist, licensed or otherwise.
Yeah.
Right. However, that being said, we do experience stress, and we do know how to deal with it.
Right. So is there a lot of catharsis to be had in unleashing rage? Yes, but you've got to do it right. You can't just unload and then walk away still angry.
Right.
You've got to unload and then take the time to process and decompress.
From a ritual perspective, which is what I'm going to be speaking on, because I can, whether it's a rage room, a sensory room, or a relaxation area, or even just enjoying a nice bath, if you do not set the conditions up right, you're not going to do anything effective. You're going to be sitting in water and you're going to be pruning up, but you're not going to be actually relaxing.
Yeah.
Without the right mindset, a bath, a spa day, a rage room, none of this shit's going to do you a bit of good, because if you're not accessing the room with a correct mindset, in this case, intention matters for quite a bit, right?
Yeah, no, it does. I will also say, sorry, my mouth jumped ahead of my brain by several steps.
That's okay. I'm actually gonna let you play catch up for a second.
Yeah.
Rage room with attached tea room snack bar, actually not a bad idea.
Yeah, actually,
because it would give you a place to decompress and get that energy back, because you're talking about probably a dopamine hit from smashing all that shit, right?
Yeah. And then go to the snack room, have tea, relax, and decompress and process everything that you just expressed physically.
Right.
Um, and I would say a lot of it, for me, in my experience, comes down to discipline, mental and emotional discipline. And that isn't, oh, you need to be perfect and you need to have perfect control. Absolutely not. That's bullshit.
No.
If you can do that, great. Then you don't need to listen to me about this.
Shit, you don't. You probably need a rage room at that point.
Yeah, right. Like if you can do that, I'm very glad for you. And why are you listening to me?
Welcome to
I
the
should be
1%
listening
of the
to you.
population.
Right? Like and 0.1%.
Right.
Um,
If you can calm and enrage yourself at a moment's notice, I
fucking
mean, cool.
absolutely. I'm very glad for
Good
you.
for you and all the other bodhisattvas.
Right? Like very genuinely, like good. I'm very glad. That ain't me though.
No, no.
No, what I mean by this is consistently working at it, knowing that you will fail, even as much as 9 times out of 10,
Right.
and coming back to it anyway.
Right.
One thing that I learned about meditation many years ago was it's not about doing it right every time. It's about sitting the practice. It's about showing up and doing it.
Right.
Even when it's bad, even when you spend the entire time just fighting with your brain, every fucking minute that you're sitting there and you hate it and you're just mad, you sit the practice anyway.
I very frequently, when I'm doing meditation, I have to jump around quite a bit. Like I have to fight with my ADHD sometimes to get to a spot where I can actually relax because my brain wants to keep jumping topics. So I work with it because fighting with it is useless.
Yeah.
So what I'll do is I'll do a meditation to Green Tara, and then I'll switch to Rune meditation, and then I'll switch again to a fuck. I had the words and now I don't. So I'll switch my meditation up, and it'll be like 3 different subjects within the space of a half hour. So that way my brain doesn't like engage in the monkey chatter. The other thing too is like if you're ADHD and trying to no mind this shit, please don't hurt yourself.
Right. One thing that I've actually found, and this is totally against what would work for most people, I'll listen to audiobooks while I'm driving and meditate, which is fucking nonsensical. You're driving and listening to audiobooks, which is plenty for most people, and then you're also meditating. Yes, why? Because it gives a bunch of my brain that would be jumping around doing other things something to do.
Yeah.
And then I can continually come back and refocus and refocus and refocus.
I mean, this is where neurodivergence is a real pain in the ass because it's constantly ADHD is like you're either inattentive or you're hyperactive, right? And your brain is constantly looking for that dopamine hit. Your brain is constantly looking for it. If you don't give it something, it will find something.
Yeah.
And that's not because you're shit at meditating. It's because your brain is just literally wired different. Yeah. And trying to fight with that is a loser's bet.
Yeah. And also like, and that has changed. Like how I've had to meditate changed over time as I got better at it. You know, as I sat to practice more and got increasingly better, you know.
Excuse me.
No, you're fine. You know, what I had to do change, and rolling with those punches has been important and a thing that I had to embrace. The fact that I am imperfect and will both improve and backslide. You know, I haven't been real good about meditating the last month or so.
Okay, like let's call a spade here, because like the Buddha sat under the Bodhi tree one fucking day, hit enlightenment, and then came back and went, all right, I got all these awesome teachings. And one of the things that I really stuck with me was like it was a moment in time. It was a flash in the pan, even for the guy that started like the meditation par excellence. Like it is a lifetime hit. And yeah, you could argue, oh, he lived in enlightenment afterwards. I don't interpret it that way. The ways that I've seen it interpreted don't usually lend itself to that. It looks like a moment in time hit him really hard after all these experiences and distractions and everything else. And he had everything set up just right so he could hit that spot.
Yeah.
I don't have those kinds of advantages. I am not a literal fucking prince. I am not Siddhartha Gautama sitting underneath a Bodhi tree after a life of leisure. Like, I got to take it easy on myself because life ain't gonna.
Yeah. And
I do
that's not
medical.
true.
Oops, sorry.
I was going to say that's not too. Damn it! You go. You go.
Okay, sorry. I do medical transcription. I have to do. I have a podcast or music on in the background, or I can't focus on what the pathologist is saying. It's so backwards.
Right.
I get that. I do. My problem is like if I have too much stimulation, I'm actually the opposite. If I have too much background stimulation, you can talk to me and I will understand I won't understand anything you say.
Yeah.
I am literally the opposite of that.
For me, it's hitting just the right. I have to have some, but I can't have too much. Yeah. And the thing that I was going to say is this is not to detract from what the Buddha did or what he means it stands for. That's not at all what is being said. What is being said is neither of us sitting here are Buddhas, and so we're working with what we got.
Look, I may have Buddhahood, but that Buddhahood is tucked in the back somewhere, and I'm pretty sure I got moved to a fucking storage unit at some point. So if it is there somewhere, I've got to go look for it, and that ain't happening right now.
Right, like,
and it's okay. On the way to looking for my Buddhahood, I will probably find about 2 or 3 other things that I had forgotten I was looking for.
Right, but you know, it's fine. So a lot of it comes down to, for me, discipline, which is whatever your practice for relaxing, whatever your practice for emotional control, emotional regulation, whatever works for you to regulate yourself.
Right.
And I'm using very like clinical and like computer system almost language, but that's because that's kind of what works for me. If that doesn't work for you, don't do that. Do something else, right? If you're much more in self-care or self-actualization language, if you're much more into enlightenment language, whatever works for you works for you. For me, I use a lot of like self-regulation language because it works for my brain. But whatever works for you for your self-regulation, and that includes like joy. Like the point is to fucking be happy. Like,
yeah.
But you've got to do it, and you've got to do it regularly, and you've got to do it even when you don't want to, and you've got to do it. You've got to at least try even when you don't want to.
Right? I vaguely remember Pema Chodron talking about this a while back. And one of the things that she made the point of is that you should be able to meditate anywhere you are, whether you're cleaning the toilet or sitting on it.
Yeah.
And that brings, pretty funny images to mind of like doing, the mudras while sitting cross-legged on the shitter. But I mean, there's a serious aspect to that where literally anywhere you should be able to drop everything you're doing. And meditate. And, this is also coming from a monk, right? Like this is coming from a monk, and their expectations of being able to drop everything and meditate wherever you're at are different, but they're actually talking to laity.
Yeah. Right there. And the point isn't, and I don't even think it's drop everything you're doing. I think it's being able to reach that place.
Right.
No matter what's going on around you, no matter what you are doing.
Right.
And it's not being perfect every time. That's not what's going to fucking happen, right? This is reality.
No.
You're going to fuck it up. That's fine. Do it anyway. And next time you'll be better.
Honestly, if fuck it up is like almost too overwhelming to think about, dispense entirely with perfection language.
Yeah.
Because like that is an ideal and very few people hit it. The fact that you're doing the work in any capacity is good.
Yeah. For me, it always goes back to the point is not to do it perfectly or even well. The point is to set the practice.
Right.
Right.
I actually want to bring some of what Emily is saying here into the conversation. I've been binging the Hollywood Medium on YouTube. He scribbles in his notebook to distract his own mind and thoughts and be open to channel or hear the spirits. See, my problem is they'd probably use that as another medium. Because I have a very visual language. I mean, I work with runes. So, of course, like sometimes I've actually made rune mandalas because I'll just sit there and idly make shit and then go, oh, that means something. Fuck. Let's figure it out now.
Oops.
Whoops, I clicked the... No, I did click the other thing. I'm currently in a big transition period. If I haven't done my malas in the morning, I have great difficulty with basic function regulation, as Sarenth can attest. Yes, I can.
Yeah.
Sometimes for our own good, we have to do these practices, not because they're fun, but because if I don't do them, my day doesn't go.
Yeah.
Sarenth brings it back with too much sugar-free candy. Yes, he does. Then being able to quickly self-regulate in any situation is what meditation is building. Yes, exactly. That.
And like
it's not that you're going to perfectly drop into a no mind state and be at one with the universe. It's, can you put your emotions aside long enough to get shit done?
Yeah. And bringing this back to relaxation, we're going to talk about meditation because both of us are doing a lot of meditation right now. And do I recommend meditation? Yes, especially if you can find a good teacher who knows what they're talking about and can do it.
However,
but that's not all of what we're talking about, right?
No.
Like, if you're talking about even just relaxation, fucking sometimes you're going to play video games because it's the thing that's fun to you, and you're going to be mad the whole goddamn time because you had a bad day at work.
Right. Or the match isn't going well, but you're going to play it anyway because you get a thrill out of the match.
You know, like, play it anyway. Why? Right. Because tomorrow it will help. Today it didn't, but tomorrow it will.
Mm-hmm. Like, for me, relaxation is not even necessarily about relaxing. It is the act of letting go of what is not essential.
Yeah.
Which is kind of goofy because, I mean, like, what, like, if you look up the definition for relaxing, right?
Mm-hmm.
What does that even mean, right? Define relaxation. Well, Google says the act of relaxing is the state of being relaxed, refreshment of body or mind, recreation. Yeah. A loosening or slackening. As to me, that third one is like really the key, right? Like, if I can loosen or slacken myself to where I'm not so knotted up, cool, I have successfully relaxed.
Right. And even if it's marginal,
a little bit,
gradual, just a little bit, that's still better.
Right. And that's
momentum you can build on.
Right. Yeah. Like, this is a marathon, not a sprint.
Exactly. Another thing that I come back to very, very often is there is no end goal. There is no, like, at least for any system that I am a part of, there isn't heaven, there isn't salvation. There is here and now and the relationships and building those into the future.
Right.
There is no end goal.
Even for those of us who have certain forms of eschatology built in, like I am initiated with the Toys of Dionysus, there are certain soul parts that are going to have shit to do in the Greek underworld when I'm dead. Even those aren't at a stopgap of like heaven or hell when I'm dead. There's shit to do because there's always shit to do, but that's,
yeah.
It's cyclical. Eventually, I'm going to come back around again. Now, I'm sure my Buddhist friends would be like, all right, well, cool. You spun the wheel a little differently, but you're still on the fucking wheel. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm not trying to get off the wheel. I like the wheel, guys.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to get into samsara. I'm not trying to divest myself of the wheel. And if the scriptures are correct on this anyway, it doesn't matter whether I try to or not. It's going to happen sooner or later. So I'm not going to worry about it.
Yeah. That ain't my goal for this lifetime. At least not right now. Maybe that changes. Maybe 5 years from now I become a devout Buddhist. But that ain't right now. So that ain't right now.
My point is that whatever it is, like, yes, try to do it with excellence, but try.
Yeah, it's really about the effort and putting it in over time, because you will improve, and it won't be fast, and it won't be immediate, and it won't be linear, not by any stretch. One day you will have an epiphany and you'll make a huge jump, and the next day you will backslide even farther than you were before you made that jump. And that's okay, because the third day you can then take another step and get back to baseline, or take a huge leap and get back to where you were. Right? It's not just because you backslid doesn't mean that you can't continue moving forward.
I'm going to take it in a slightly different tack too, because I saying I agree before I move into this different arena. The point of playing video games that I find irritating to play with my daughter is not to finish the game. Like, I don't play Ninja Turtles with my daughter because I want to reach the end of the level. I'm going to reach the end of the level whether I have to drag her ass through it or not.
Yeah.
The point is that I'm spending time with my daughter, and she will hopefully eventually kill one of the Foot Clan on her own without me having to rescue her.
Right. And
like, and that's, for us, that's relaxing, not because like I'm sitting there like, okay, it's saying go. Move your character to the right now. Please make them stop saying go. The point is that I'm spending time. Like, if your intent is that I hit this apex goal and I must hit this within a certain period of time, there is a high % chance you're going to be completely dissatisfied with your relaxation.
Yeah.
If you goal set and plan and ad infinitum chunk your life into little cubes, and enlightenment or relaxation or something where you got to work with your body and your mind and your souls has to fit in a 30-minute chunk. I mean, maybe you're disciplined enough to do it, but you are a far better person than I am.
Right. Yeah.
If you can fit enlightenment or stress reduction in a 30-minute window, kudos to you, because that's fucking awesome. That ain't me.
And I do mean that genuinely. Like, if that's a thing you can do, I am very genuine.
No, like, there's a part of me that's jealous of people that can do that shit. But I think either it's a very neurotypical thing to be able to do, or it's a very, very, very neurodivergent thing to do.
And I don't think neurotypicality or divergence has much to do with it. I think that's a very rare individual regard.
No, I'm being a bit of a smartass.
I know. But there's, like you were saying, make your goals for relaxation appropriate. Make the goal itself relaxation, which means that, kind of oxymoronically, that can't be the goal. Right? You can't have a goal if your goal is relaxation.
Right.
It's not a thing that you can achieve. I have achieved like, no, you do it by accident. You fall into it backwards. You just do the thing, and by doing that you succeed.
And honestly, if you need to like give yourself the equivalent, or actually like literally give yourself a sticker with a gold star on it, fucking do it.
Do it.
Don't fight with yourself. This is supposed to be chill.
Yeah.
Like, if you need that dopamine hit of I got a gold star, and if what relaxes you isn't actually the relaxation, it's getting the gold star, fucking do it. Fighting with your brain chemistry is asinine, because your brain chemistry is going to win.
Yeah. And it's the,
I say this as somebody that fights with their brain chemistry
constantly. It's the, like, as much as I am an advocate for it, do it even when you don't want to. Like, yeah, sit the practice, but
sit,
right? Don't fight the practice, and sitting the practice, when I'm having a real bad day about meditation,
right?
I set, as much as we just said, don't do this, I set my meditation in 30-minute chunks. Why? Because that's a nice unit of time for me to do.
Right. You get, it's just like you gotta fit the time in.
Yeah.
If you don't mind, like, if I don't plan to meditate at some point during the day, it does not happen.
Yeah.
So if I say don't start my evening and I'm doing my breath work and I'm doing my meditation work, if I don't say I'm going to dedicate at least 20 to 30 minutes today, and anybody, regardless of neurodivergence, should be able to do it, even if you have to chunk that 30 minutes into 5-minute groups.
5-minute increments. That's fine.
That is totally fine. The point is to sit, to do it. Well, not even necessarily sit, because in my case, like, sometimes sitting is actually like prohibitively stupid.
Yeah, it's counterproductive.
It's counterproductive for me. Sometimes I have to walk.
But
whatever you do to relax, it needs to be something that actually will produce a relaxing effect at some point, even if it's not immediate.
Yeah. And like, do I set mine into 30-minute increments? Yes, I do, because that's what happens to work for me. But on the bad days, I'm lucky if I get 15.
Right. And
Like,
that's the thing.
like my goal is an hour every day. An hour of meditation every day is my goal.
Right.
In 30-minute increments. On the bad days, I'm lucky if I get 15 in total.
Right. And the thing is like, my bad is not your bad is not my bad. And what looks bad on the outside to somebody that's been meditating for 20, 30 years in a certain discipline is going to look very differently to somebody that has been meditating with a different one. For instance, one of the things that I think is really cool that I ran into a while ago were people who print off images of labyrinths and then use a stylus or a pencil and follow the labyrinth as a meditative practice. Because that clicked something in my fucking brain. I've got a labyrinth on a keychain. And that works really well for me.
Yeah. I actually came across so a friend of mine a while ago now, several years ago now, made me a set of prayer beads dedicated specifically to the pack spirits. And it's really funny because the person doesn't have a relationship with the pack spirits, and also they have no memory of making these prayer beads, because I'm pretty sure they touched on some shit that they're not allowed to know, and the pack spirits just said, "Neat, thanks. You don't get to remember that anymore."
Oh, I don't know how that goes at all.
Yeah, no, not at all.
Thanks, fucker.
Yeah, you're welcome. That's happened to Sarenth at least a half dozen times when I asked him for pack information. It's fine. But yeah, so my friend has no memory of making these prayer beads. Like, remembers getting some instructions from me on what I wanted, and then blank spot, which is very hilarious. I've actually, and Sarenth has been in the room for this, I've pulled them out of the bag and gotten people's attention from across the room who were not paying attention to me just by pulling these beads out of the bag. They're that heavily attuned to these spirits. Tangential thing aside, because I love bragging about these because I love them very much. I had no idea how to use these effectively. Like, some of my spirits were dedicated. Obviously, they're heavily dedicated.
Right.
They're sacred objects for me, but like, I didn't know how to use them as prayer beads until maybe 2 weeks ago. And it was like, oh, this will maybe work. Let me try this.
Right.
And I tried it, and it worked. And now the next time I did it, it didn't work as well, but it still worked. And then the third time I did it, saying this certain set of prayers over them, counting down the prayers with them.
So what I'm hearing is sometimes striking while the iron's hot also makes a difference.
Strike while the iron's hot. And if you backslide in the middle of it, like the next time it didn't work as well, but the third time it did.
Right.
Okay. It still worked.
I think, like, sometimes we collect shinies because our brain needs to focus on something. Sometimes the spirits need us to have the thing because our hands need to touch something.
Yeah.
Because being all up in here, that's the other thing with relaxation, right? People think that relaxation is just a mental process. It's fucking not.
No.
It is a biochemical reaction. It is a metaphysical response. It is an entire way of being sometimes. When people talk to you about, like, well, I've got this stuffy and I have to have my stuffy and my blanket for it in order to feel safe, they're talking about relaxation.
Yeah.
Like, when people say, I need to have these conditions in order to feel okay, they're talking about when they feel steady state, when they're feeling relaxed.
Yeah. And
that's important shit, right? Because if you never really get into that groove, or if you're like, well, I can't have a stuffy because I'm 38 years old and I am a serious spirit worker. Like, for one, get the fuck over yourself.
Right.
For two, I have enough stuffed shit in this room. Like, for instance, I have my Desir Saith Kona, and sometimes she comes with us to trips to, like, Bob Evans. She just chills in the corner. She's awesome. She is a representation of the spirit workers in my family lines, especially the female ones. And you know what? I didn't know I needed her um, until she came to me.
Yeah.
And she's stuffed.
Yeah.
She looks awesome. She's based on a find from Germany, which is why she's got the fringe and the antlers. Um, she's based on a person that was found in a grave 4,000 years ago, and they figure she was as close to a shaman as we could find in Germany.
Right.
Okay, cool. And she's very huggable.
Mm-hmm.
And she's very soft. And there's nothing wrong with appreciating those qualities. It doesn't make you less of a person. It doesn't make you less of a man. It doesn't make you one way or the other. It just, oh my God, soft things, they make me chill.
Yeah, right. Who knew? And it's another thing, like people often report
Thank you.
after doing intense yoga, they'll hit a specific pose and suddenly start crying.
Right.
And why? Because you released a bunch of tension that your body was actually storing emotions in that tension that you didn't realize. And then you released that tension and those emotions came with it.
Yeah, this is why EMDR is like gaining traction in a lot of therapy circles, because EMDR is where you stimulate certain parts of the body with very light thumping, for those who don't know what that is. And it's a therapeutic process where a person is encouraged to physically release emotion.
Yeah. And you'll get this with, and I've experienced this myself, and with massage therapy too, right?
Right. Yes. That was one of the things we were warned about when I took a massage therapy course was you might have a client suddenly start crying on you. Unless they tell you to stop, don't.
Yeah. And it's really one of those, and like my partner, who is not a massage therapist by any stretch, but has some like laity experience with doing and they're very talented at it from a laity perspective, from with doing massage, they'll hit a certain knot in my back or in my legs or something, and suddenly I'm like, oh gods, okay, stop for a second, I gotta process this.
This is something I occasionally, yeah. There is nothing like feeling that release of tension, emotion all together.
Yeah.
Yeah. Totally get it. And like, why are massage guns so popular now? Well, partly because like massage guns are fucking awesome.
Yeah.
But also like we have seriously limited our capacity outside of a certain set of financial transactions for people to fucking touch us.
Yeah. And a lot of this goes back to, we as an American culture, we don't have a lot of releases for tension, and we don't have a lot of sources of relaxation.
Correct.
Right. This goes with the loss of third spaces. This goes with the loss of community.
To a certain degree, it goes to a loss of first spaces, because like intimacy in a partner setting is really hard. Because if you're constantly grinding, you don't have time for intimacy. And intimacy doesn't mean fucking. It means like actually being in a space where you're wholly there with your partner.
Yeah. And sometimes that's sex, but that's not always. I have had very unintimate sex.
Right.
I was violently sick after, because, that's...
I'm sorry, this story catches me off guard every time you fucking tell it.
Which is hilarious, because I've said it so many times.
I know, but it's just fucking funny to me every time. But anyway.
The whole thing. Yeah, when you have spiritual relationships that demand intimacy in your relationships, and then you violate that in a physical sense, you might get physically ill.
Yeah.
Who knew?
Depends on the type of grinding you're constantly doing. Yeah, that
Jesus
too.
Christ. Fair enough.
I mean, if it's for OnlyFans, sometimes the grinding gets chafing and spongy and bruised. But I mean, the thing about intimacy in this culture and relaxation in this culture is not only do we not often give time for it, but it's very often denigrated as, oh God, like even very simple acts of self-care are looked at with aspersion or ridicule. I had a Twitter thread or Reddit thread or something where somebody genuinely thought if you wiped your ass, it was gay. And I was like, look, I have no idea what homophobic shit got you from point A to point B. But the fact that you feel uncomfortable being clean says more about that mindset than it does about anything else around that.
That's wild. And here's the thing, like people are going to listen to you say that and they're going to say that's not real. No, it is.
No,
Absolutely.
it is. I've seen it. It's fucking buck wild.
It
There is an
is.
entire generation of young men growing up who think it is gay to wipe your ass.
And here's the thing. And that's actually a thing that I was going to dig into next is like toxic masculinity in this country is such that intimacy is actively maligned.
Right.
It is quote unquote unmanly to feel emotions that are not rage.
Right.
To
If you're
feel
not pissed off 24/7, are you actually a man? Is something I have genuinely seen in AMAB, supposedly cis-aligned circles. It's just buck fucking wild to me.
yeah, and I'm just like,
Have y'all never picked up Lord of the Rings?
oh Jesus,
y'all need
yeah.
y'all fuckers don't need Jesus. You need Tolkien.
Right. No, but like very genuinely, Tolkien has issues, and I'm not going to sit here and pretend.
Sure.
Right, the Easterlings and the Southrons as the evil races of men. No, dude, that's racism.
Nah, it's racism.
Like it is.
It
Was
is.
Tolkien relatively progressive for his time? Absolutely.
Which is saying something because he was actually conservative in his time.
I think he was conservative because he was a rich, or at least well-off man in England.
Yeah, he certainly didn't start that way.
No, he started that way.
He started off as a. I thought he started off as in a farm in South Africa.
He was born in South Africa, and then his parents moved him back to England.
Oh, you're right. I'm sorry. You're right. You're right.
No, yeah.
Excuse me.
He went to Oxford. You don't do that without money in his day.
No, this is true. This is true.
Like, was he extraordinarily wealthy? No, but he was. He
wasn't. He wasn't Churchill, but he was definitely up there. Yes.
Yeah. But regardless,
Oof.
he was definitely. You poured a lot of vodka in that one, didn't you?
Yeah. I need some more apple juice. Damn.
So, on the flip side, he did write to when fucking the Third Reich wrote to him and was like, "Hey, we like your shit," and he was like, "Hey,
fuck yourselves."
And they said, "Are you Jewish?" And he was like, "No, unfortunately. I think that the Jews are actually really neat. Why don't you fuck all the way off?" And he was, from my understanding, it was pointed out to him that his depictions in The Hobbit were a bit anti-Semitic. And so he worked to change that in The Lord of the Rings. At least that's my understanding. Maybe that's apocryphal. Maybe I could be wrong.
No, it's not apocryphal. It's a conversation he had with people that he knew. And that is actually something about, I want to actually bring that into relaxation. If you are constantly looking for threats in your sources of relaxation, you're going to find them.
Yeah.
If for some fucking reason, Tolkien is your comfort food, eat it. Yeah. Eat it with the understanding that nothing is going to be untouched by problematic, but problematizing in this culture has gotten such a puritanical black and white perspective that it may actually hinder more than help your understanding of the material.
Right.
You need to understand the context and what, where, why, and how. And are you giving money to a creator that's a piece of shit? But Tolkien's dead, and on the whole, his stuff's really good, actually.
Yeah. And like, is there racism in his work? 100%.
Yes.
No.
Yes. And anybody that's saying no, either hasn't read it or hasn't investigated deep enough at this point.
Right. And that doesn't make it bad and wrong and evil. It means, okay, read it with that in mind. Know that, hey, I don't have to emulate, people from the East and from the South are bad.
Right.
I don't have to emulate that. I can read this and say, okay, I'm going to I'm going to acknowledge that this exists in this work, and I'm going to take the good parts out of it. I'm going to look at Aragorn, son of Arathorn, and see a man who can both defend his people with his body and blood and also love his friends unconditionally.
Right,
I can see a man who can be tender and intimate and write poetry and also swing a sword better than anyone alive. I can see both of these expressed beautifully and see a man who hates to do violence but will do it when necessary.
I think one of the things that stuck with me is I think it's Faramir who says it. I do not love the sword for its shine or its glory. I love that which it defends.
That sounds like a Faramir quote. I don't know the quote specifically, but that sounds like a Faramir quote.
I've been reading Lord of the Rings for too fucking long, and my brain's a little jumbled. But I believe it's
I,
Faramir who said this to Eowyn in the House of Healing. And that always stuck with me. And Faramir is, unfortunately, because of the movies, a bit underplayed in terms of appreciation.
and to be fair, I think that is true to the character in the books, who is
No, it is. It is. He's in there for 2 sections and then he's like gone.
Faramir, who is a wildly important character, who is by and large, honestly, an underdog for what he is. Like compared to his brother, who is also, because of the movies, often maligned. Boromir is actually genuinely another example of very positive masculinity. Frankly,
absolutely.
If you look at most of the male characters, at least the male humans in Lord of the Rings, you will see some genuinely. Hey, Emily, nice to see you.
I know. Hi, Pupper.
You will see some very genuinely positive masculinity role models.
Sorry.
You're good.
You're fine.
But I mean,
because you're on headphones, but hey, you're fine.
The thing about Lord of the Rings that always struck me is how beautifully intimate and loving each of these characters are, and really intimate, not because Frodo and Sam are sleeping together. I think that's something that a lot of pop culture missed at the time, and there was a lot of jokes made at that expense. Thank you, MTV. Because they didn't understand like the intimacy of friendship.
And I think that's a lot of it too. I think that goes back to this toxic masculinity that I'm talking about, where intimacy can only be about sex in our culture, because men can only be intimate in terms of sex. It can only be sexual conquest that can be intimate. And that's nonsensical to me.
Which also ties into where we are allowed to relax.
Exactly. And the idea that you can't be intimate with your friends, and I do not mean physically intimate, or I should say, I do not mean sexually intimate. I mean physically and emotionally intimate, right? Yeah. The idea that you cannot hold hands with a same-sex friend and it not be queer is ludicrous.
Yeah. There's even something in me that wants to jump on queerness shouldn't be sexual in and of itself, because queer is a range, a plethora of physical and emotional and sexual expression, right?
No, and you're absolutely correct.
And queering relationships doesn't mean sexualizing them.
No, and
and Arrow and Ace people are valid in their expression and they're part of the community. So I'm not saying that you're sexualizing, or I am not levying these things. I'm saying the problem with our puritanical culture and over sexualization and under sexualization is that we misinterpret the signals of intimacy for one thing and when they're not.
Exactly. And actually, no, you're absolutely correct. I was doing it unintentionally. I was sexualizing things unintentionally because of reaction to the overculture, right? I was unintentionally, and I apologize, I was unintentionally excluding Arrow Ace from the community. I was unintentionally sexualizing queerness when I shouldn't have. And that's, one, that was wrong of me. I'm sorry. And two, while it was unintentional, it was unintentional, but that doesn't change that it was wrong. But also,
can I just say something as somebody with a largely asexual partner? It is not that you had that reaction, right? The reaction is normalized within the sphere of our overculture. The fact that the overculture promotes this is the problem.
Exactly. And that's what I was actually almost about to say, was the thing that I was doing. No, absolutely. No, you're correct though. Is what I was doing was a reactionary thing against the overculture, which inevitably kind of plays into it. And unintentionally marginalized people who I shouldn't have, and that's not okay. But also, it wasn't meant with harm. That
Right.
doesn't change that it was still not okay to do, but it also doesn't make me the devil.
So this is where the purity culture thing that I was mentioning earlier comes in,
Exactly.
and why it gets in the way of relaxation, because we are ostensibly here to drink and talk shit for an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours. And even here, there's tension. Because what if I fucked up? What if I hurt somebody's feelings? Well, what if you did? Okay.
Yeah.
That doesn't make you Satan. And even if it made you Satan, I still forgive you.
Yeah. Right. Like, one, I know plenty of people who are tight with Satan. That's fine.
Right, right. I know plenty
Like,
of
very genuinely,
non-theistic Satanists who are tight with Satan, and that's all
like,
good.
like one of the ritualists that I respect the absolute most we've had on the show multiple times is real tight with Satan. That's fine.
Right.
Um. Anyway, like, and
Well,
that's the other thing too. Like,
if you
you're
can have
gonna
sympathy for the devil, you should have sympathy for yourself.
exactly, and like that's what I was kind of getting at too. Is like you're gonna mess up. It's okay.
And,
You are whatever else you might be. You're in a human body.
right.
You're
And that's
gonna
the
fuck up.
I like I say this as somebody that runs in other kin and Therian circles, where whatever else you may be, you are still a human flesh-bound thing who is
Yeah.
going to fuck up and experience things through the synapses responses of this body. If you don't fuck up, you really need to question what you're experiencing and how.
Yeah.
Because if fucking up is a very human thing to do, even
Yep.
if you don't feel yourself fully human.
Yes. Like, as
And
someone who does not experience themselves as fully human, yeah, no, we're gonna fuck up regardless.
but
And
above
that's
and beyond that, the point of relaxation is not to be perfect, is not to be in ultimate alliance or alignment or whatever with your ethics, goals, or morals. The point is to let shit go so that you're no longer anxious.
yeah.
It,
Like,
it's slackening or loosening. It is a lack of anxiety. It is a lack of tension.
yeah. It's the can I read Tolkien, acknowledge, and that's not to say ignore. Ignore and acknowledge are
No,
not the
ignoring
same
is a
thing.
problem. Acknowledging is okay.
Yeah, right. Like
Even
if
saying,
we
I recognize the Southrings and Easterlings are problematic. I am going to set that aside so I can enjoy my fucking fantasy.
exactly, and like we can sit here and say, "Hey, I just fucked up on air." That's okay.
Right,
Apologize and move on.
right.
Did I actively harm someone? I mean, arguably, sure. But
Maybe.
also, I apologized and moved on. Why? Because I didn't punch anyone in the face. I don't need to take somebody to the hospital.
Right. The point isn't whether or not you harm somebody, it is a recognition of wrongdoing, doing better, and moving on.
Yeah,
Because whether or not you earn somebody's forgiveness is beside the point. The fact that you're doing better is.
yeah. You don't owe me
and this
forgiveness.
is and this is also true of like not doing your meditation, not doing your spiritual hygiene, all the stuff that we like regularly hammer on in this episode. Like, okay, so you didn't do it today. Did it fuck you up permanently? No. Cool. Must not be worth excoriating yourself over. And even if you did fuck up bad enough to where you couldn't be present for something that needed your full attention undivided, it you know what? You're not the only person in this fucking world. You are one of 8 billion human beings on this planet.
Right. So, on the one hand, and even if it did, even if you fucked up so bad that you are permanently debilitated, okay, are you still alive? No? Then keep
You're,
moving.
you're
Yes.
still fuck all that. You're still worthy of life.
Yeah, you're still worthy of life. Keep moving forward. And even if you fucked up so bad that you died, let's really put it in terms. You fucked up so bad you died.
You still deserve respect and reverence for the life you led.
You still deserve respect and reverence for life you lived. And also, dude, I believe in reincarnation. Try again.
Right.
Do better next time.
Right. Good luck.
No, straight up. Like that's not
Game
even
over. Here's the continue screen.
Yeah. Okay. So go reset in Helheim. Chill out for a little while. Do what you got to do, and then come back and try again.
Right. And I think the effort alone shouldn't be like, okay, well, I'm going to try and I'm going to try and I'm going to try. Like, there is a there is a danger in getting trapped in mediocrity just as much as there is a danger in getting trapped in extremisms, right?
Yes.
So, like, if you're only accepting yourself when you're in this steady state, that is actually extremism. It's just given a different form.
Yeah.
And
No, I
sometimes you need the extreme. I've got to get up. I've got to get up my own ass. I've got to like light this fire. I've got to. And sometimes that's just going to be what your day is like. But if it's your everyday, I would question if they're actually relaxing or if you're
yeah.
just giving yourself a couple of moments of, okay, I can breathe in between jumping back in the fucking water of
Yeah.
whatever your stress or life is.
It's about balance, right? It comes down to, for me, often it comes down to cycles and balance, where it's you can't be. Sometimes you do have to give it your all. Sometimes succeeding is important, and you do have to give everything you can and lay
Sometimes
everything
success
in.
is everything. Like, this is why we train, though.
Yeah.
Like, this is like literally why you're practicing relaxing, why you're practicing meditating, why you practice doing spiritual hygiene. It's so that when you need it to succeed, it succeeds. And if it fucks up, you know at least enough to troubleshoot, or
Yeah.
you know enough that you don't know enough and you can go to somebody else.
Yep.
This is where
Yeah.
community comes into play. Like, and
It really
relaxation
does.
may not be something you can achieve on your own. And that does not mean that you're a bad person, or it doesn't mean that you're a bad community member.
Straight up, my most powerful and most satisfying workings happen with other people in the room. They don't even have to be fucking participating. Just
Right.
someone else sitting in the room while I do meditation or while I do prayers or while I do working, whatever I do. If someone else is in the room, it's better
Right.
every time.
Oh, you're a pack worker. I'm shocked.
Everyone is surprised. And that's not
I'm
to
only
say that,
slightly giving you shit because, like, I get it. Like, this is a very human thing. We're in human bodies. We need people. Like,
and that's
look at
yeah,
the primates we fucking evolved alongside.
right. And that's not to say that like, oh, everyone's that way. And that's certainly not to say even
No,
among other pack tradition workers that everyone is that way. Not everyone is.
you're gonna
But for
find that one
me,
motherfucker who's the lone wolf who vibes in that lone space. But above and beyond that, on the average, this is a very human thing.
and for me, I found that that works for me.
Right.
So when I need to get some shit done, I call in help. And they don't have to work with me on it. They just need to be in the fucking room most of the time.
This is where being a polytheist and animist is really nice because you're you're never really alone, right? Like, you've always got
Also
land
true.
spirits. You've always got Landvatiers, land spirits around you. You've got Vat and Vatir that are running through your pipes. You've got Elder Vatir, fire spirits that are running through your electricity and connecting your computers, right? Now, if you're, well, you know, the thing I think is that you're never alone and you're always in some kind of community, even if you're just literally paying for it by having electricity run through your walls.
Yep.
Like, you are existing in community somewhere because some fucker has to make sure the power station stays up. Some janitor is making sure the power station stays clean. Some operator is making sure that the substation doesn't go out, etc., etc. You're in a chain of beings, whether you really want to or not, even if you're living on your own.
You're standing on the dirt.
Right. You're with the earth. The earth is a goddess to me. Like, you're never alone.
You're never alone. All right, we have been going for almost an hour and 45.
So,
One, closing
but
thoughts. Two, where can people find you?
oh gods. Well, let's do the second one first. That's easier. So, sarenth.wordpress.com if you want to look at my writing. If you wish to participate and ask me for a topic or a prayer suggestion, patreon.com/Sarenth Odinson. If you wish to find the wonderful co-hosts that I run around Grandfather Fire with, which is a podcast which explores paganism, polytheism, animism, the occult, and magical communities, please find us at Around Grandfather Fire. You can find us on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. We can also be found on Podbean.
Nice.
So, Malik, where can we find you?
So you can find my blog at Maleck, Maleck.home, HOME.blog, BLOG. I'm on Patreon at patreon.com/ Maleck Odinson, MALECK ODINSSON. uh, Brain words go.
So, what are your final thoughts for the episode?
Last thing before I do, I am currently technically running a sale on divination for $25 for your first hour. Past that, it gets slightly more complicated because the pricing schedule changes past an hour.
You're a fucking brave person. I just want to say that.
It works better for me because my divination tends to be so conversational that, and doing it by time works better.
Totally fair.
But that's what works best for me. That sale will probably end at the end of this month, but that's what's going on currently. And speaking of, I'm actually really excited for the topic that I gave you this month on reading in person, because I'm interested to hear your thoughts on that.
Give me 5 seconds. It's actually scheduled, and I'm going to check to see when it's going to post.
Yeah, please do. But yeah, my thoughts for the episode are, y'all have a fucking drink tonight. Even if you don't drink, have a soda.
November 13th.
Oh, nice, cool. Relax if you can. Tonight, do everything in your power to relax, because once you have cast your vote, and if you got workings to do your workings. If you got
please do. I mean, if you want to throw magic at the thing, please throw magic at the thing.
Yeah. I'm not going to tell you no, but like, once you've done all you can do, you've done all you can do, and relax.
Have you given your vote the means to make a pact?
Yeah.
Okay.
You've done what you can. That doesn't mean the fight's over, and that doesn't mean that you shouldn't have plans and backup plans, and yeah, but like, you can't make that change tonight. Take a break. I'm gonna go have I'm going to do a thing tonight that I don't often do, which is I'm going to have a lot of drinks, because it will help me relax and help me have a good time. Is that a thing that I do often? No. Is that a thing that I advise you do? Absolutely not. I'm going to do something unhealthy tonight because it's healthier for me to do that unhealthy thing than to sit there stressing all night. Is that a choice I'm making? Yeah. Is that a healthy choice? It's the healthier choice.
Yeah. Sometimes you have, I'm going to worry myself sick, or I'm going to drink. And I'm going to drink is just the one that wins out.
And that's not the healthier choice for everyone.
It's not even necessarily, the thing is, like, it's not a healthy choice.
No, but it's the healthier choice for me tonight. So it's the one I'm going to make. How about you? Closing thoughts.
My closing thoughts. Hail to the battlers of Blair Mountain. Hail to the resistors. Hail to the rednecks and the rough riders and the motherfuckers who never quit. Hail, hail, hail to the union members and the socialists and the anarchists and the red motherfuckers who never said die, and to the motherfuckers who fell between and beneath and underneath the gears of war and imperialism. Hail to all the Luddites who swore by King Lud. Hail to all the people who have ever offered up their bodies as sacrifices on the wheels so that another person could fucking make it one more day. Hail to you and thank you. Let's do how.
To the very last drop. All right, folks, with that, we're going to close because I can't think of anything more appropriate to close on. I don't know if I'm going to be in the after party. I'm certain Sarenth will be. I don't know if I will be.
Sarenth will be.
Yeah. We will see you there. Love you all. Have a good night. Do what you can. Do what you must.
Let's do hell.
Bye.